Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, Classics / Non-Classics, episode 472, 73, and Doubleshot number 388. Yep, this is post 1000 video. So, yeah. So I will have to basically list out basically how many videos. This is technically the 1001st video. But, yeah, I probably won't do something like that again. Probably not until, let's say, I've reached like 1500 videos or at least 2000. So, yeah, it's going to be a while. Yep, so that's the way it's going to be. Got two Spider-Man trades. First up is Amazing Spider-Man Volume 6 Worldwide. Worldwide Volume 6. Collecting Amazing Spider-Man because the thing just went back to its Volume 1 numbering. Let's see here. I think it went up to 89, not mistaken. Check this. I just want to be sure about the correct numbering for this one. Yeah, because the series just went back to its Volume 1 numbering just recently. Let's see, this is 750. This is according to the new numbering that Marvel came up with Amazing Spider-Man because they decided to include Superior Spider-Man Renew Your Vows, the first one, Renew Your Vows, as part of numbering. Basically, this is issues number 750 to 753. I think so. Because I know it was just recently that it did that. Let's see. I don't think that was the correct number. I just wanted to be sure about this one. Let's see. I think that'll be about 8. Okay. So basically, these are issues 781 to 784. Yep, that's according to the numbering. Despite the fact numbering is a little bit lower than that, but yeah, that's more for you. Yeah, written by Dan Slott, who does pretty much the main story. With the backup story is written by Chris Gage, James Cabot, Jacob Cabot, James Amos, Hannah Baumreich, Kale Ackerson, and of course Dan Slott. Basically, those are the backup stories for issue 25. Stuart Immonen is on the artwork for the main story. The backup artists are stories for issue 25 are basically Todd Nurk, Ray Anthony Height, Weldon Wong, Tina Ford, Jordan Gibson, Kale Ankerson, basically co-wrote one of the stories, Gillespie Macaulay, and Cam Smith. Yeah, like on the cover, see on the cover, yeah, Spider-Man fights Norman Osborn in these 4 issues. Yep, that's pretty much the whole point of these 4 issues, yeah, the Osborn identity. Yep, basically, Spider-Man at the end of the Clone Conspiracy found out where Norman Osborn was. And pretty much this whole storyline is basically finding him, fighting him, and basically him getting away. That's the gist of it. The only thing good, yeah, the fight was pretty disappointing. And I'm like, seriously? You couldn't capture him, so he basically just got away? And as far as I know, he didn't show up again for a few issues. He didn't show up again after Secret Empire wrapped up, which is the issue that came before the return to the legacy numbering. The story itself is kind of bad. Yeah, which has basically been mostly just as from basically even good, awful, good, pretty good. And this one, I mean, this is actually the first time since the Mr. Negative story that the storyline had just been so freaking bad. I mean, there's a few good things about it. The return of Sarah Sable for the first time in 5 years. And they actually give a okay explanation exactly how she survived being drowned. How? Because apparently she was wearing the same clothes of the same material as her invisible jet. No, seriously, don't say invisible jet, basically stealth clothes. And that's how she survived, basically nearly being drowned by the Rhino back in I think it was Amazing Spider-Man number. I'm trying to remember the number. I think it was 600 and I believe it was 87. Yeah, the ends of the year storyline. Thank you, basically bringing it up. And plus, the story also brought up something that I did not expect to bring up. Okay, I was gonna sneeze there. They brought up something that happened way back in Amazing Spider-Man number 98, basically of Norman Osborn using special gas that basically sort of cuts off Spider-Man's sort of his wall crawling abilities, kind of temporarily disables them. And yeah, there's also one point where he takes off his special like lens thing and just fights him like face to face so you can see his eyes. Yeah, it's quite bizarre why he did that for. I mean, the only other good thing about this story is the fact that Silver Sable gets taken back her country. Yeah, Nick Fury's a complete jerk. I mean, more of a jerk than usual. I mean, heck, not even his father was as bad. Of like, oh, you invaded the country. Yeah, but he had a good reason to invade that country because he was overthrowing a woman who should not control the country at all. Basically, the country should have been ruled by Silver Sable herself. She's the proper ruler of the country, not this other woman. Yeah. I mean, Spider-Man was helping out a friend, and Nick Fury apparently getting to get the message. Oh yeah, and also with the storyline, Mockingbird no longer works for S.H.I.E.L.D. This is, of course, before Secret Empire. And also, first time Mockingbird's been seen since the very disappointing follow-up to the Zodiac storyline that Slott started off with in this particular volume. Yeah, so it's been a while. It's basically, by the time the storyline starts, it had been 14 issues since she was last seen. So roughly about 6-7 months. Because up until then, it was more. This series has come out twice a month. Now it's switched to once a month. Though I think that starting with new numbering, it's going back being twice a month now. Come out twice a month for the series. The main story is just not very good. I mean, the biggest highlight aside from the return of Silver Sable is the artwork. The artwork is fantastic. Stuart Immonen does an absolutely fantastic job, and these covers by Alex frickin' Ross. Yeah, the interior artwork is fantastic. Yeah, the Stuart Immonen should get an award for how much of a good artist he is. I mean, it's kind of the same thing like Justice League basically wasn't a Brian Hitch, where it had good artwork, terrible storytelling. Yeah, so you have a mediocre story. I mean, this is probably by far worse than Mr. Negative. But at least that, in the case of Norman Osborn, it had been a while, and oh yeah, his new face is butt ugly. And also, and this is what ticked people off when issue 25 came out. You know what Marvel decided to do? Okay, it's 25th issue this fine, let's make it double size and charge $10 frickin' for this thing. I'm like, seriously? Why in the world would you charge $10 for an issue? It's so frickin' stupid. I mean, my God, Marvel, you that damn greedy? At least Marvel Legacy #1 didn't charge $10. I mean, yeah, it was $6, but at least wasn't $10, which is stupid. I mean, yeah, it's the 25th issue of this particular volume. Let's just, okay, double-sized issue, fine. But charging $10? Seriously? That is stupid. But you do get good stories. The backup story is actually really good. Some of them are. I mean, let's see. Let's talk about these backup stories because I've already talked enough about the actual main story. Okay. Let's see if I can find it here. Here are the backup stories. The first one is the Christos Gage one, featuring the return of Clash for the first time since Civil War II miniseries. Yep, it's just Return of Clash. First time we've seen in a while. He gets away, and who knows when you see it again. It's a quick little, like, 4 pages. Then it's a Tossum book. I'm not kidding. These little, like, things, now there was a series of these characters recently, and Spider-Man teams up with his Tossum toy to take on the White Rabbit, a very bottom of the barrel Spider-Man villain. I mean, I've heard of this villain, and yet Yeah, at least she's more interesting than the Meteor Man, and she's freaking hilarious. Yeah, and it's a quick little 4-page thing. Toss them, toss them. Then you have the James Elmo story, which this was actually a pretty good one, of him face off against Spider-Man in Shanghai. This is, of course, before Secret Empire. Face off against Aftershock. First time in a while anybody's seen this woman. Yeah, Aftershock, the one who was part of the Bastards of Evil in Young Avengers, where it was claimed that she was the daughter of Electro, and turns out that was a big fat lie. You have Aftershock and this other guy. As for who this person is, I have no idea. Yeah, this story is actually one of the more longer ones. Yeah, this one takes up like 2, 3, 4. Like, it takes up like 5 pages. It's actually the longest feature of this whole thing. Yeah, just Spider-Man fighting a couple of villains in Shanghai with the Spidey-mobile. Yep, see, not thinking it's actually pretty amazing. And the last story is just a kid who dressed up as Spider-Man. Well, thinks he is Spider-Man, and just I think this is supposed to be Spider-Man. Yeah, it's a quick little story. Kind of looks like it's tied into some different reality because, well, the way the characters are drawn. It looks like it's kind of tied into the Ultimate Spider-Man TV show. And that's what kind of looks like, because the way Aunt May is drawn here, she's drawn looking exactly like the way she does on the Ultimate Spider-Man TV show, the cartoon one. It's an okay little story. And then you have this cutesy little story by Cal Atkinson, basically, who does the artwork as well. She does this little, like, the Amazing Spider Ant. Yeah, it's just a funny little story of Spider-Man. Spider-Man's aunt, basically. It's a quick little 2-parter. And the last story is just a backdoor pilot is just set up for the arc that comes right after this one, which is the 3-parter ties into Secret Empire of Dr. Octopus surviving clone conspiracy in this proto-clone, and basically starts working for Hydra. I have no idea why he wanted to work for Hydra for. Yeah, Artem Zola shows up in here, which is something. At least the story actually means something in the overall effort. This one, the Clash, will actually mean something. And of course becomes the Superior Octopus, which the Superior Octopus did show up in the actual storyline for like one story. And a lot of people think complaining though, Slott just has a love, is basically obsessed with Dr. Octopus. And he writes it where Dr. Octopus is the definitive arch enemy of Spider-Man, which is completely untrue. Norman Osborn is, and yet he basically sucks at writing him. Yeah, seriously. I mean, the last person who wrote Osborn to be interesting was Brian Michael Bendis. Of course, this was 6 years ago. It seems like whenever Norman Osborn shows up, it just half the time just not very interesting at all. This is probably the most boringest one I've actually seen to date. I mean, yeah, he has a pretty interesting fight with Spider-Man, but his dialogue is just terrible. Which comes to think of it, why is Slott still writing this book? And I've heard a rumor that Nick Spencer's going to take over this book, despite the fact that his last book he did, his last major book, which Secret Empire, bombed hard. Probably one of the worst events that Marvel's done in years. At least the previous one basically actually had a cohesive story. At least it wasn't changed halfway through it. Yeah. The story is just not very good. The backup stories are actually pretty good for this one. So, and the artwork is really good, and the Return of Silver Sable is good as well. So, I want to be nice to this thing. I'm going to give this one a 7.5 out of 10. Yeah. I take 2.5 points off for the terrible story. The only reason why this is not like a 6 or a 5 is because of Return of Silver Sable, the backup stories, and the gorgeous artwork by Stuart Immonen and Alex Ross and the other artists. That's the only reason why it doesn't get a 6 or 5. Alright. Next up is a much better book, Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows, Volume 1, Brawl and the Family, containing the first 5 issues of the current volume of Renew Your Vows, the ongoing thing. Written by Jerry Conway, Ryan Stegman, with artwork by, well, actually Ryan Stegman Jerry Conway is the writer of this thing. Roughly the first 8 issues, then Ryan Stegman takes over for the last 4. Ryan Stegman does the first 4 issues in here, and Nathan Stockman does issue 5. There's also a couple backup stories in here. One is The Earnest Adventures of Spider-Dad by Anthony Holden, and there's Make It Work by um, Keith Leth, Kate Leth, and Marjorie Savage. I think it's a pronounced person's name. Yeah. The cover art is done by Ryan Stegman and David Crow for the first issue. Sonia Abeck does issues 2 through 4, and the last was done by Tamara Belovin. Yeah. Basically, the main story for the first 4 issues is the Spider Family versus Mole Man. Interesting thing, and plus, there's also a thing developing with Normie, which that's actually a plot thread that continues the first 12 issues, with Normie basically kind of being the background antagonist of these issues, which Conway writes him to be a pretty interesting character. I mean, little Normie, and yet, here's something really weird. When he introduced himself, he refers himself as Norman Osborn II, even though that's not really his actual legal name at all. I have no... The only theory I have, because he has the same first name as his grandfather. Oh yeah, and they keep the fact that Harry is still dead. Yeah, Harry's still dead in this reality, and this takes place right after the first volume of the series. Regent is still dead. As far as I can tell, some of the heroes are pretty much gone. Sandman, who was an ally of Spider-Man during the first volume, here he's a villain, back from the villain, which is odd. But yeah, the first 4 issues are really good. The standalone one is just, well, that's when basically they team up to fight Sandman for that one issue. Yeah, it's like feeling fun. It's a really fun issue, but it's nice they started up with a few ones. And one of the suggestions that Andy basically comes up with as a codename was Spider Girl, which I'm like, what's wrong with that one? And they call her Spinneret. Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, seriously, I mean, what the heck is wrong? Like Spiderling. Like, apparently, MJ is called Spideret. And I kind of agree with a couple people, like, why can't she call herself Spider-Woman? Because clearly Jessica Drew is no longer alive. So why can't she call her Spider-Woman? Nope, Spiderette. And apparently they want to call her Spiderling for some reason. And yet one of the code names, here's the code names that she's just to call herself. Spider-Girl, Spiderling, Kid Spider, Spiderling, Spider-Sir. It's like, when you read these issues, it's kind of like, Conway... It's kind of like, what's wrong with Spider-Girl? I personally have a problem with it, but I think that she might be calling herself Spider-Girl once Jodie also takes over in issue 13, which I'm looking forward to. I think it comes out this week, if I'm not mistaken, yeah. But this is great. I give this a 9 out of 10. This is great. I'm sure TV gave this a 5 out of 5, because this is just a great story. I enjoy this too, but I also read the Amazing Spider-Man book, the regular one. But this is actually one of 2 Ultimate Universe titles basically published under the Spider-Man family of books. The other, of course, is Spider-Gwen. Both of them really good. It would be really interesting if Spider-Gwen did crossover with this book. Yeah, that would be interesting. I mean, after all, she basically gets to be another Spider-Man who's Peter Parker underneath the mask. Yeah, I mean, the only one she's met, this is 6161. But here's something I really enjoyed about that crossover. Because of that Gwen's teenager, Peter Parker then started hitting on her right away. Because, yeah, even though she's Gwen Stacy, she doesn't look exactly like Gwen Stacy. She has, even though she's got blonde hair, her father's still alive in that reality. But, yeah. But here, they don't mention Gwen Stacy that much. I think they mention her once in here. But, yeah. I love the fact that this, yeah, people who want the marriage to basically still be around, you have this series, which... The series is selling really well, from what I can tell, because Marvel's still continuing it. Though, knowing Marvel, Dan Slott probably tell them to axe this book and axe the Spectacular Spider-Man book and probably cancel Ben Reilly just so, oh yeah, because this book is probably beating this book in the sales. Yeah, I'm sure of it. Yeah, I'm sure this book is beating that one in sales. I'm having this weird feeling that half of the Spider-Man books are going to get axed because they're beating Amazing Spider-Man in the sales. That's what happened in 2013 with Superior Spider-Man being published, where Venom and Scarlet Spider was beating that book in the sales, and Marvel just axed those books. Apparently, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh no, my book is not selling too well. Can you please axe these 2 books? Can you end these 2 books for me so I can get that money to my book instead? I guess they probably agreed to it and probably told Chris Joseph Cullen Bunn is like, we're asking you 2 books because they apparently are selling more than better than Superior Spider-Man. Which, like, what? I'm not sure what the situation was for that one, but yeah. But this, I hope this book like I can't anytime soon because it actually is really good. For people who can't stand the crap Dan Slott puts in his book, read this book. It's amazing. And I'm looking forward to Jodie Halston basically taking over the book. I think the next issue probably have issues 6 through 12 because that's the end of that particular era of the book. All right. So that's it for this episode. Stay tuned for the next episode, which is episode number 473, 74, and that is going to be a single shot, which is going to be only just 1 book. Yep, 1 book. Okay. Until then, we'll see you there. Bye.